Hey everyone! Welcome to today's video. Have you ever felt like you're working hard but not really moving forward in life? You're busy every day, but your goals still feel far away. If yes, then this video is for you. We're talking about one of the most powerful self-development books ever written, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. This book has changed millions of lives around the world. It doesn't teach you tricks or shortcuts. It teaches you principles, how to build a strong character, improve your mindset, and live a meaningful life. Covey says, success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by becoming the right kind of person. So let's learn these 7 habits that can truly change your life. Covey noticed that most people try to change their results without changing themselves. They focus on personality, how they look, talk, or act in public. But true effectiveness comes from character, who you are when no one is watching. He calls this the inside-out approach. If you want to change your relationships, your career, or your life, you must first change what's inside you. That's where the 7 habits begin. Imagine this. You wake up late to work, rush to work, and on the way, someone cuts you off in traffic. You get angry, honk loudly, and by the time you reach the office, your whole day feels ruined. Now, here's a question. Did that driver really ruin your day? Or did you give that driver the power to control how you feel? That's exactly what Stephen Covey explains in Habit 1, be proactive. This habit is the foundation of all the others. It's about taking full responsibility for your life, your choices, and your attitude. Many people think being proactive just means being active or taking initiative. But Covey gives it a much deeper meaning. To be proactive means to understand that you are in charge of your own life. Your happiness, your success, your behavior, they all come from your decisions, not your conditions. Covey divides people into 2 types. Reactive people. They let their mood depend on things they can't control. If the weather is bad, they feel bad. If someone is rude, they get upset. They say things like, "There's nothing I can do," or "That's just how I am." Proactive people don't let outside situations control their feelings. They choose their response. They focus on what they can do, not on what they can't. They say things like, "I choose to," instead of "I can't." In simple words, reactive people are controlled by the world, but proactive people control their world. Covey says that between what happens to us, stimulus, and how we respond, response, there is a space. And in that space lies our freedom to choose. No matter how small or big the situation is, you always have that space to decide how you will react. You can't control what happens, but you can control how you react to it. That's where your power is. For example, if someone insults you, you can choose to shout back or stay calm and walk away. If you lose your job, you can choose to complain or start looking for new opportunities. That choice defines your character and your future. To explain this idea better, Covey introduces one of the most powerful tools in the book, the 2 circles. 1. The circle of concern. This includes all the things you care about, the weather, the economy, other people's opinions, world news, traffic. But here's the truth. You have no control over most of these things. 2. The circle of influence. This includes the things you can control, your attitude, your decisions, your habits, and your reactions. Reactive people focus on their circle of concern, always worrying about things they can't change. Proactive people focus on their circle of influence, working on things they can change. And here's the magic. When you focus on your circle of influence, it actually grows. But when you waste energy complaining about things outside your control, your influence shrinks. Every time you use proactive language, you strengthen your ability to take control of your life. Language shapes your mindset, and your mindset shapes your reality. Covey gives many examples of how being proactive changes lives. He tells about Viktor Frankl, a man who survived Nazi concentration camps during World War II. He realized that even when he lost everything, his family, freedom, and possessions, one thing remained: his power to choose his attitude. He said, "Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing. The last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." That's the ultimate example of proactivity. So the next time something goes wrong, a fight, a failure, a rejection, ask yourself, what part of this situation can I control right now? That small shift in thinking can change everything. Proactive people don't wait for perfect conditions. They create them. If they want better relationships, they take the first step. If they want success, they start working before the opportunity appears. Covey says, "Our behavior is a function of our decisions, not our conditions." You don't need to wait for motivation, luck, or permission. Start small. Start today. Every big change begins with a single proactive decision, the choice to act instead of react. Here are some simple questions to reflect on your own life. Do you often blame others for your problems? Do you spend more time worrying than doing? Do you say "I can't" more often than "I will"? If yes, then it's time to shift from being reactive to proactive. You can start with small things. Choose to smile even when your day starts rough. Choose to apologize first after an argument. Choose to work on your goals even when you're tired. Remember, the power is always with you. Being proactive means you take responsibility for your own happiness. You focus on what you can control. You use proactive language. You make choices based on values, not moods. You take initiative instead of waiting for others. When you become proactive, you realize that your life is not a reaction to the world. It's a creation of your own choices. You stop being a victim and become the author of your story. Now that you understand habit 1, here's a question to think about. If you truly accepted that you are 100% responsible for your life, your success, your emotions, your relationships, what would you start doing differently tomorrow? Because that one decision to take full responsibility can open the door to habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. A habit that will help you define the vision for your life. So stay tuned, because in the next chapter, we'll explore how to create that vision and start living with purpose. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You're attending your own funeral. Your friends, family, and colleagues are all there. One by one, they walk up to the microphone to speak about you. Now think, what do you want them to say? That you were kind, that you made a difference, that you lived a meaningful life? This thought may sound a little uncomfortable, but Stephen Covey uses it to teach a very powerful lesson in habit 2. Begin with the end in mind.
This habit is about one simple idea. Everything is created twice. First in your mind, then in reality. Before anything happens in the physical world, it happens first in your imagination. Your house was once a design. Your business was once an idea. And your life will become whatever you first see in your mind. Covey explains that every creation has 2 stages. 1, the mental creation, when you visualize or plan something in your mind. 2, the physical creation, when you actually build or do it in real life. If you don't take control of the first creation, the vision, then someone else will do it for you. That means if you don't decide what you want your life to look like, you'll end up living according to someone else's plan, your boss, your parents, or society's expectations. So, habit 2 teaches you to design your own blueprint before life builds it for you. Think of life as a long journey. If you don't know your destination, how will you know where to go? You might walk fast, but if you're moving in the wrong direction, you'll only reach the wrong place faster. Covey says, it doesn't matter how fast you climb the ladder of success if it's leaning against the wrong wall. In other words, you can be very busy, very hardworking, but still feel empty if you're chasing the wrong goals. So before you start climbing, ask yourself, is my ladder on the right wall? Being proactive, habit 1, taught you that you are in charge of your life. Habit 2 takes that power further. Now it's time to decide what kind of life you actually want to live. Covey says that truly effective people always live by design, not by default. They don't just react to life, they plan it with purpose. This starts with a personal mission statement, a short written note that defines what's important to you, what values you want to live by, and what legacy you want to leave behind. Covey encourages every person to write one. It's not just a list of goals, it's a statement about who you want to be and what you want to stand for. Here's a simple way to create yours. 1. Identify your values. What matters most to you? Honesty, kindness, growth, love, faith, family, freedom? 2. Imagine your ideal life. What would it look like if everything was going right? 3. Write it down clearly. For example, I want to live with integrity and kindness. I want to help others learn and grow. I will focus on progress, not perfection. This statement becomes your personal compass. Whenever you face a hard choice, you can ask, does this action match my mission statement? If yes, move forward. If not, stop and rethink. Covey makes an important distinction between leadership and management. Management is about doing things right. Leadership is about doing the right things. Imagine you're in a jungle, cutting trees and clearing paths. That's management, making progress and being efficient. But leadership is the person who climbs a tall tree, looks around, and shouts, "Hey, we're in the wrong jungle." See the difference? You can be busy all day managing your life, but if your direction is wrong, all that effort is wasted. Habit 2 is about being your own leader, setting the right direction before you start running. Covey also explains that each of us has many roles in life. For example, a student or professional, a friend, a son or daughter, a parent, a community member, a spiritual being. Each role has different responsibilities. So you can plan your goals based on your roles. For example, as a professional, your goal might be to learn a new skill. As a friend, your goal might be to spend quality time and show care. As a family member, your goal might be to support and listen more. When you do this, your life becomes more balanced and meaningful. Covey says, principles are like lighthouses. They do not move. The world changes fast. Trends, opinions, and people come and go. But principles like honesty, respect, patience, and fairness never change. If you build your life around principles, you will always have stability. So when you begin with the end in mind, you're not just imagining success, you're imagining a life built on principles that will never fail you. Take a few minutes today and ask yourself, what do I want people to remember about me? What do I want to contribute to the world? What values do I want my life to represent? The clearer your answers, the stronger your focus will be. Every goal, every plan, every habit will begin to move in the same direction, toward your true purpose. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind, teaches you to live by vision, not by chance. Create a clear mental picture of your desired future. Write a personal mission statement. Focus on principles and values. Be a leader of your own life, not just a manager. When you practice this habit, you stop drifting through life. You start designing it. You no longer just wake up and react to your day. You wake up with purpose and direction. Now, here's something to think about. If you knew exactly how you wanted your life to look 10 years from now, what's one thing you would start doing differently today? Because once you have a clear vision, the next step is to bring that vision to life. And that's what Habit 3, Put First Things First, is all about. How to organize your time and energy to make your vision a reality. So stay tuned, because in the next chapter, we'll learn how to turn your dreams into daily action. Imagine this. You've made a clear plan for your life. You know your goals, your values, your purpose. But every day, you still feel busy and somehow not productive. You wake up with big dreams, but emails, messages, and endless to-do lists pull you in every direction. By night, you're exhausted, yet that important thing still remains undone. Sounds familiar? That's exactly why Stephen Covey introduced Habit 3, Put First Things First. If Habit 2 was about thinking, Habit 3 is about doing. It's about turning your vision into reality, one disciplined day at a time. Covey explains that Habit 3 is the practical side of Habit 2. Habit 2 says, decide what's important. Habit 3 says, now do it consistently. It's the habit of self-management, where you learn how to focus your time and energy on what truly matters. He says, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Most people spend their time in Quadrant 1, emergencies, and Quadrant 3, distractions. They're always reacting to what's urgent instead of focusing on what's important. But the truly effective people, the leaders, the visionaries, spend most of their time in Quadrant 2. That's the zone of growth, planning, and preparation. In simple words, don't get busy, get effective. Let's understand this with an example. Imagine a student. If he studies every day a little, he stays calm and confident before exams. That's Quadrant 2 living. Consistent, proactive preparation. But if he wastes time all semester and starts studying only one night before the test, that's Quadrant 1, urgent and stressful. Quadrant 2 living helps you avoid crises before they happen. You become the person who plans ahead, stays balanced, and grows without burnout.
Putting first things first also means learning to say no, politely but firmly. You can't do everything. You can't please everyone. If you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. Covey says, you have to decide what your highest priorities are and have the courage, pleasantly, smilingly, non-apologetically, to say no to other things. For example, saying no to another Netflix episode so you can read or work out. Saying no to unnecessary meetings so you can focus on deep work. Saying no to toxic people so you can protect your peace. Every no to distraction is a yes to your destiny. Most people plan day by day, but Covey recommends planning weekly. Why? Because weekly planning helps you see the bigger picture. You can balance your different roles, family, work, health, learning, and assign time to each. Here's a simple method. Identify your roles, student, employee, parent, friend, etc. Write 1 to 2 key goals for each role for this week. Then schedule them in your calendar before anything else. This way, you're not just reacting to life, you're directing it.
Many people think discipline means forcing yourself to do boring tasks. But true discipline, Covey says, comes from a deep sense of purpose. When your actions align with your vision, habit 2, discipline feels natural. You don't have to push yourself every day because your purpose pulls you. Think of an athlete training for a gold medal. He doesn't wake up saying, "Oh, I have to train again." He wakes up saying, "I'm one step closer to my dream." That's what happens when you put first things first. Covey often shared a story to explain this habit. A teacher once brought a big glass jar into the classroom. He filled it with large rocks until no more could fit. He asked the students, "Is the jar full?" They said, "Yes." Then he poured in some small pebbles. They filled the gaps. He asked again, "Full now?" The students said, "Yes." Next, he poured in sand. It filled the tiny spaces. Finally, he poured in water. The jar was completely full. The teacher smiled and said, "The lesson isn't that you can always fit more things in your life. It's that you must put the big rocks first, or they'll never fit at all." Your big rocks are your most important things: your health, family, goals, values. If you fill your life first with sand, distractions, there will be no space left for what truly matters. So always ask yourself, what are my big rocks this week? Then plan your schedule around them, not the other way around. Habit 3 also reminds us not to chase productivity blindly. Effectiveness is not about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. Yes, work is important, but so are rest, relationships, and reflection. If you ignore them, you might achieve success, but lose your health or peace in the process. True effectiveness means keeping all areas of life in harmony. Habit 3, put first things first, teaches you to manage your time based on priorities, not urgency, to live in quadrant 2, focus on planning, growth, and relationships, to say no to distractions, to plan weekly and act with purpose, to put your big rocks first, the things that matter most. This is how you build consistency and peace while chasing your dreams. Because success isn't built in a day, it's built in how you spend each day. Now, think about this. If you had only 2 hours every day to work on your dreams, what big rocks would you choose to focus on first? Because once you master your time, the next step is mastering your relationships. And that's what we'll explore in the next chapter. Habit 4, think win-win, where you'll learn how to create success with others, not against them. Stay tuned, it's going to change the way you see teamwork and life. Have you ever noticed how most people treat life like a competition? Someone wins, someone loses. At work, one person gets promoted, others don't. In relationships, one person gives more, the other takes more. We've been taught that for me to succeed, someone else has to fail. But Stephen Covey says that's not true. Life isn't a battlefield, it's a partnership. Welcome to Habit 4, think win-win, where success doesn't mean defeating others, it means creating victory for both sides. Covey explains that there are 6 paradigms or ways people usually think. Win-lose. I win, you lose. This is the competitive mindset. It may work in sports, but not in relationships. Lose-win. I lose, you win. This is the mindset of people who always say yes, even when it hurts them. Lose-lose. If I can't win, no one will. This happens when ego or revenge takes over. Win. I only care about myself winning. I don't care what happens to others. Win-win. We both can win. This is the mindset of collaboration, respect, and abundance. Win-win or no deal. If we can't both benefit, let's not do it at all. And the one Covey calls truly effective is win-win. Because real success isn't about competition, it's about cooperation.
To understand win-win, you need to shift your thinking from scarcity to abundance. A scarcity mindset says, there's only one slice of cake. If you get more, I get less. But an abundance mindset says, there's enough cake for everyone, or better, let's bake a bigger one. Scarcity creates jealousy and fear. Abundance creates trust and teamwork. Win-win thinkers believe that everyone can grow together. They don't measure success by comparison, they measure it by contribution. Covey says that win-win is not a quick trick or negotiation tactic. It comes from your character. And that character is built on 3 key traits: integrity, being honest and true to your values. If you promise something, you keep it. Maturity, balancing courage and consideration. You speak up for yourself, but also respect others' needs. Abundance mentality, believing there's enough success for everyone. When your heart is full of integrity, maturity, and abundance, win-win becomes your natural way of thinking. Let's take a simple example. Imagine 2 people sharing an orange. One wants the juice, the other wants the peel for baking. If they simply split the orange in half, both lose something. But when they communicate, they discover their real needs, and suddenly both can have exactly what they want. That's win-win in action. It's not about compromise where both lose a little, it's about collaboration where both gain more. Covey introduces another beautiful idea, the emotional bank account. Every relationship you have is like a bank account of trust. You make deposits when you show kindness, honesty, or understanding. You make withdrawals when you lie, ignore, or disrespect someone. When your emotional bank account is full, small mistakes are forgiven easily. But when it's empty, even little issues cause big conflicts. So, to create win-win relationships, you must keep making emotional deposits every day. Say thank you. Keep your promises. Listen with empathy. Apologize when wrong. Show genuine care. This trust becomes the foundation for every future win-win deal. In business or teamwork, win-win looks like this. Instead of fighting for credit, you share credit. Instead of blaming, you look for solutions together. Instead of competing with your team, you compete with yourself to improve.
Great leaders always think win-win. They know that when their people grow, the company grows. Covey says, win-win is not about being nice, nor is it about being soft. It's about being brave enough to find solutions that benefit everyone. Think about your relationships, family, friends, partner. How often do conflicts come from my way versus your way? Win-win thinking changes that to our way. For example, in a family, parents can set boundaries, but also listen to children's needs. In a friendship, both can share equally instead of one always giving. In love, both support each other's dreams without controlling. It's about creating balance, not one dominating the other, but both lifting each other. Sometimes win-win also means saying no deal, because if a situation only benefits one side and harms the other, the most respectful thing you can do is not participate. Covey calls this win-win or no deal. It's better to walk away than to create a fake peace where one person secretly feels cheated. In a true win-win world, no one wins at the cost of another. Habit 4, Think Win-Win teaches you success is not about competition, but cooperation. Believe in an abundance mindset. There's enough for everyone. Build strong character, integrity, maturity, and trust. Keep emotional bank accounts full. Create agreements where everyone benefits. When you start thinking win-win, you don't just build success, you build relationships that last. You don't create enemies, you create allies. You stop playing life like a zero-sum game and start building a bigger future for everyone. Now think about this. In your daily life, are you trying to win alone, or are you helping others win with you? Because the next step in this journey will teach you the most powerful skill of all, the ability to truly understand others before asking them to understand you. That's the secret of Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. And trust me, it can transform every relationship you have. So stay tuned, because what comes next will open your eyes and your heart. We live in a world full of noise. Everyone wants to speak, everyone wants to be heard, but very few people actually listen. Think about it. When someone is talking to you, are you really listening? Or are you already planning what you'll say next? Stephen Covey calls this one of the biggest barriers to effective relationships. We listen to reply, not to understand. And that's why he created Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. This habit can change your relationships, your leadership, even your entire life. Because real connection begins not when you talk, but when you truly listen. Covey introduces a powerful concept: empathic listening. Most people listen with the intent to reply, but empathic listening means listening with the intent to understand. It's not just about hearing words, it's about feeling what the other person feels. It's stepping into their shoes, seeing the world from their eyes. Covey says, most people do not listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to reply. But when you truly understand someone first, something magical happens. They start to relax, open up, and trust you. It's only then that they become ready to listen to you. Covey points out that there are 5 levels of listening. 1, ignoring. You're not listening at all. 2, pretending. You say, uh-huh, but you're not really paying attention. 3, selective listening. You hear only what you want to hear. 4, attentive listening. You listen carefully to the words. 5, empathic listening. You listen to understand the meaning and feelings behind the words. Most people stop at level 4. They hear words but miss emotions. True connection happens only at level 5. When someone feels truly understood, they no longer feel alone, and that's one of the deepest human needs. Covey once told a story about a father and his teenage son. The father complained, "I can't understand my son. He won't listen to me." Covey replied, "Wait, if you want to understand him, shouldn't you be the one listening first?" The father was shocked. He had spent all his time trying to fix his son instead of understanding him. When he finally started to listen, not to judge, not to correct, but to feel, his son slowly began to open up. The gap between them started to close. That's the power of Habit 5. It builds bridges where walls once stood. Here's how you can do it in real life. Listen without interrupting. Don't jump in with advice or solutions too early. Reflect what you hear. Repeat back in your own words to show understanding. For example, so you're feeling frustrated because your work isn't appreciated. Acknowledge their emotions. Even if you don't agree, accept their feelings as real and valid. Ask open-ended questions. Instead of, "Did you like it?" ask, "How did that make you feel?" Empathic listening doesn't mean you agree with everything. It means you care enough to understand first. Once the other person feels heard and valued, they're finally ready to hear you. That's when the second part of the habit begins. Then, to be understood. Now it's your turn to communicate your own thoughts clearly and respectfully. Covey calls this courage and consideration in balance. Courage means expressing yourself honestly and confidently. Consideration means doing it with respect and kindness. When both are balanced, communication becomes powerful. You're not shouting to be heard, you're speaking to connect. In business, most problems are not technical, they're communication problems. Managers give instructions but don't listen to feedback.
Teams argue over ideas without understanding each other's intentions. But great leaders follow habit 5. They listen deeply to their employees, customers, and partners before giving orders or making changes. This creates trust and collaboration. It also helps them make better decisions because they see the full picture. Covey says, when you really listen to another person from their point of view and they feel understood, it's like giving them emotional oxygen. In relationships, this habit can literally save connections. Imagine a friend, partner, or family member telling you about their bad day. You immediately start giving advice. Do this, don't worry, it'll be fine. But that's not what they need. They don't want a solution. They want understanding. Sometimes, the best thing you can say is, I get you. That must have been hard. When people feel heard, they heal. So next time someone opens up to you, don't rush to fix them. Just listen. Habit 4, think win-win, was about creating relationships based on mutual respect. Habit 5 builds on that. It's the skill that makes win-win possible. Because you can't build a win-win agreement if both sides don't first understand each other's needs. Understanding comes first. Influence comes second. Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood, teaches you listen with empathy, not ego. Understand feelings, not just words. Communicate with courage and kindness. Build trust through deep understanding. Connect before you correct. When you master this habit, your relationships will transform. People will start to listen to you, not because you demand it, but because you earned it by listening first. Now ask yourself this: when was the last time you truly listened, not to reply, but to understand? Because once you learn to connect deeply with others, the next step is learning to work together, not just as individuals, but as a team.
That's what we'll explore in Habit 6, Synergize, the magic of creative cooperation. Imagine a world where everyone truly worked together, where ideas flow freely, where differences create strength, not conflict, where 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, but equals 3, 5, or even 10. Sounds impossible? Stephen Covey says it's not. That's the power of Habit 6, Synergize. This habit is about teamwork, creativity, and collaboration. Learning to value people's differences and combining them to create something better than anyone could alone. Covey defines synergy as the idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Think about it this way. When two people come together with respect, openness, and a shared goal, they can create something neither could do alone. It's not just teamwork. It's creative teamwork. It's the magic that happens when differences don't divide us. They inspire us. Let's take a simple example. Imagine two people trying to solve a problem. Person A sees things logically. Person B sees things emotionally. At first, they disagree. They argue, defend, and try to prove each other wrong. But if they both listen with Habit 5, seek first to understand, something amazing happens. They realize both perspectives have value. Together, they find a third alternative, an idea better than A's or B's original plan. That's synergy, when your way and my way combine to create a better way. Many people think synergy means compromise, but Covey says it's the opposite. Compromise means 1 + 1 = 1.5. Both lose something. Synergy means 1 + 1 = 3 or more. Both gain something new. In compromise, you settle. In synergy, you create.
It's not about giving up your opinion. It's about building something greater together. Most people avoid differences. We feel more comfortable around people who think, act, and speak like us. But Covey says differences are gifts. One person's strength can balance another's weakness. One person's creativity can spark another's logic. One person's energy can lift another's calm. When we appreciate these differences instead of fearing them, we unlock true creativity. Covey writes, "Valuing differences is the essence of synergy, the key to unlocking the power of teamwork." Covey shares a story about a company team facing a big problem. Everyone had different opinions: engineers, marketers, and managers. At first, the meeting was full of tension. Each group believed their idea was the best. But then the leader encouraged them to practice habit 5, listen first. Slowly, people began to understand each other's needs and perspectives. And suddenly, a completely new idea emerged, an idea that combined the strengths of all departments. That idea became a major success. No one person could take credit. It was synergy. You can also see synergy everywhere in nature. Two plants growing close together help each other retain moisture. Bees and flowers depend on each other. One gets nectar, the other gets pollinated. In human biology, your body's organs work in perfect harmony, each one supporting the other. That's natural synergy. When parts cooperate, life thrives. And Covey says, when humans learn to cooperate the same way, we too can thrive beyond our imagination. In relationships, synergy means learning to appreciate differences. For example, a husband and wife may have opposite personalities. One is emotional, the other is practical. Instead of fighting about it, they can learn from each other. One adds warmth, the other adds balance. In a family, children may have ideas parents don't understand. But if parents listen openly, they often discover creative solutions from their kids. When everyone's voice matters, relationships grow stronger. Covey says, when you build on strengths and compensate for weaknesses, you create unity, not uniformity. In workplaces, synergy is what separates good teams from great teams. Think about Google, Apple, or Pixar. Their success isn't just about smart individuals. It's about people who collaborate, challenge each other, and build ideas together. A synergistic team doesn't fear disagreement. It uses disagreement to spark innovation. When you encourage open communication, trust, and shared goals, you create an environment where everyone wins. Of course, synergy doesn't come easy. The biggest barriers are ego, my way is the best way, fear, what if I'm wrong, defensiveness, I have to protect my ideas. But when you replace these with humility, curiosity, and respect, synergy starts to flow naturally. Covey reminds us you can't have synergy without trust and communication. That's why this habit depends on all the ones before it. Here's the formula you can remember. Synergy equals cooperation times creativity times respect. When all three are present, magic happens. It could be in a friendship, a marriage, a business team, or even between nations. Because synergy doesn't just make us work together, it helps us grow together. Habit 6, Synergize, teaches you to value differences instead of fearing them, to combine strengths for greater results, to create solutions better than any individual idea, to communicate with openness, trust, and creativity, to build unity through diversity. When you live by synergy, every connection becomes an opportunity to learn and grow. You stop saying, "Who's right?" and start asking what's best for all of us. And that's when ordinary teams turn into extraordinary ones. Now think about this. If you combined your ideas with someone completely different from you, what amazing thing could you create together? Because once you learn to work in harmony with others, the final step is learning to stay in harmony with yourself. And that's what Habit 7, Sharpen the Saw, is all about. It's how to keep your mind, body, heart, and spirit renewed so you can stay effective for life. Imagine trying to cut down a big tree with a blunt saw. You push harder, sweat more, and work longer, but the tree barely moves. Then someone tells you, "Hey, why don't you stop and sharpen your saw?" You reply, "I don't have time to sharpen the saw, I'm too busy cutting." Sounds familiar, right? That's how most of us live our lives, working harder and harder, but forgetting to take care of the very tool that makes it all possible, ourselves. That's what Habit 7, Sharpen the Saw, is all about. It's the habit of renewal, balance, and self-care. It's about taking time to recharge so you can keep growing and performing at your best, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Stephen Covey uses the story of the woodcutter to explain this. If you spend all your time sawing without sharpening the blade, your effort becomes less effective over time. The same is true in life. Your saw is you, your body, mind, heart, and spirit. If you never pause to renew yourself, you'll burn out, lose focus, and stop growing. So Habit 7 means investing regularly in yourself to maintain and improve your greatest asset, your personal capacity. Covey divides renewal into 4 key areas of life, just like the 4 sides of a balanced life. Let's explore them one by one.
Your body is the vehicle through which you experience life. If you don't maintain it, everything else suffers. Physical renewal means eating healthy food, exercising regularly, getting enough sleep, avoiding harmful habits. Covey says, to keep the body in good health is a duty. When you're strong and energetic, you think clearer, feel better, and perform with confidence. Ask yourself, am I treating my body like a tool to survive or a treasure to thrive? Your mind is like a muscle. It needs constant learning and challenge to stay sharp. Mental renewal means reading books that inspire you, learning new skills, solving problems and thinking creatively, staying curious about the world. Covey says, if you stop learning, you stop growing. In a world that changes so fast, continuous learning is not optional, it's essential. The more you expand your mind, the more effective and adaptable you become. So don't just consume, think, reflect, and create. We humans are emotional beings. No matter how successful we become, we all need connection, love, and belonging. Emotional renewal means building meaningful relationships, spending time with loved ones, showing empathy, gratitude, and forgiveness, helping others, and serving your community. Covey reminds us, to touch the soul of another human being is to walk on holy ground. When you listen, care, and communicate honestly, you strengthen your emotional core, the foundation of trust and happiness. True success isn't just personal achievement, it's shared growth. Spiritual renewal doesn't necessarily mean religion. It's about finding purpose, meaning, and peace within yourself. This could mean meditation or prayer, spending time in nature, reflecting on your values and goals, serving others selflessly. When you connect with your inner voice, your conscience, you remember why you do what you do. You gain clarity, direction, and strength from within. You gain clarity, direction, and strength from within.
Covey calls this your center of balance. It's what keeps you grounded when life gets chaotic. The secret of habit 7 is balance. If you focus only on one area, say your career or your body, while ignoring the others, you become unbalanced. A truly effective life means renewing all 4 dimensions regularly. Think of it like this. Your body gives you strength. Your mind gives you wisdom. Your heart gives you connection. Your spirit gives you purpose. When all 4 grow together, your life becomes powerful, peaceful, and productive. Here's the beauty of habit 7. Each time you renew yourself, you actually improve your ability to live the other 6 habits. When your body is energized, you can be proactive. When your mind is sharp, you can begin with the end in mind. When your heart is balanced, you can think win-win and synergize. Renewal strengthens all other habits. It's the fuel that keeps your personal growth going forever. Covey says, we must never become too busy sawing to take time to sharpen the saw. Let's make it simple with a few real-life examples. Daily. Take a morning walk or do light exercise. Spend 10 to 15 minutes in silence, reflection, or meditation. Read or listen to something educational. Weekly. Meet friends or family and truly connect. No phones. Volunteer or help someone in need. Reflect on your goals and progress. Monthly. Take a day off from work just for renewal. Do something that refreshes your mind and soul. These small steps done regularly create long-term energy and clarity. Habit 7, sharpen the saw, teaches you to take care of your physical health, keep learning and challenging your mind, build loving, supportive relationships, stay connected to your inner peace and purpose. When you sharpen your saw, you're not wasting time. You're multiplying your effectiveness. You're becoming stronger, wiser, calmer, and more alive. Covey reminds us that renewal isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong habit of self-investment. Now that you've learned all 7 habits, think deeply. Are you spending your life just cutting trees, or are you also sharpening your saw? Because success isn't just about working harder, it's about growing smarter, deeper, and truer every day. In the beginning, we are dependent. We rely on others to care for us. Then, as we grow, we seek independence, the ability to take charge of our own life. But the highest stage is interdependence, learning to work with others to achieve shared goals. That's the real secret of greatness, because no matter how successful you become alone, your greatest results, your biggest happiness, and your truest peace come when you learn to grow together. Covey reminds us, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Effectiveness isn't about doing more things. It's about doing the right things. It's about being guided by your values, not your moods. About leading with character, not image. And about becoming a person who builds, serves, and inspires. Each of the 7 habits helps you master a part of yourself. Your choices, your goals, your time, your relationships, and your growth. When you practice them daily, you don't just become successful, you become significant. Your life becomes your message, a message of integrity, purpose, and balance. Ask yourself today, which of these 7 habits do I already live by? And which one do I need to strengthen right now? Remember, change doesn't happen overnight, but small, consistent habits build extraordinary lives. The moment you take one small step toward effectiveness, you begin to shift your future. The 7 habits are not rules, they're principles. They don't limit you, they liberate you. Because when you align your life with timeless principles, your power, peace, and confidence grow naturally. Covey said it beautifully. If I really want to improve my situation, I can work on the one thing over which I have control, myself. That's the starting point of all success. If you had to choose one habit to start practicing today, which one would transform your life the most? Comment below and let's start a conversation that helps others grow too. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring book summaries and life lessons every week. Until next time, stay effective, stay growing, and stay true to your purpose.